What is the biggest challenge, especially the first few days of having so many pitchers in camp? Is it?
Actually, the biggest challenge is having that personal touch with each one of them, and not overlooking somebody, make them all feel like we know who they are and their background, how they got here, and realize the opportunity they're going to have. And that, to me, the other stuff is just scheduling and getting ahead of stuff and having some foresight and, you know, making sure the groups and the rotation. And we did actually add a station there with the bunting station just to, I didn't want them to sit around for 45 minutes between the time we ended up with the individual and team defense to the time that they threw. I didn't want to go up the clubhouse for 50 minutes, and you know, you can't throw 5 or 6 guys at a time. So, you know, we kind of, it's something good. We know we're talking about it helps them a little bit, and we also, every spring we've done that in the past. We've always found out something we didn't know. Like already, Carlos says, "Man, there's one guy here. He dropped to Oscar Zokar years ago. We used to play pickup games in the extended spring. On Sunday, I used to let the pitchers play a game. Mariano Rivera played in those games, and I kept seeing Zokar, and they were going to release him. He threw about 88, had a little screwball. He got 3 or 4 hits every time we played those games. And I said, hey, before we release this guy, you might want to let him hit a little bit. Nah. So finally I did. And anyway, he played in the big leagues 3 years later. Oscar did. Passed away about 2 years ago. Great kid.
Is this the most pitches you've had by far in a camp?
I don't know about by far, but I would think I'd have to harken back to the expansion Diamondbacks first year. I meant to look at that. Wonder how many we had there. I don't think we had that many. This, I think, probably the most I've ever had.
Do you have like X amount of guys that you're right now considering starters, or is that it is?
Yeah, Roger, we added one this morning. Added one this morning after some talk and some. You know, there's a lot of guys we haven't had before. There's a lot of history we're looking into, making sure we know stuff. And it's important when you're talking to these guys and walk around the clubhouse or out on the field that they know that you know about them. You know, where Wojciechowski went to school, and you know where they were. Just a lot of little things. It paints a picture of it. But you know, I think we've got 8 right now, and we've got. It depends on the cooperation we get. We think we're going to have at least 3 B games, inter-squad game. We've got some split squads really right out of the chute. So there's going to be, and it's like I've told the guys this morning that the opportunity may come early. Be ready, you know, because at some point they're going to go away, and there's always the possibility that someone else shows up in this camp. It's the first time since I've been here we've had to put players in the back locker room, and we just did that by service time. There was no other way around it. I hate that. I really hate putting guys back there, but we'll move them forward. But we also have to make room in the locker room so that if we do add somebody in the next week or 10 days or whenever, that they've got a place there. You know, you don't want to bring a veteran pitcher in here and all of a sudden stick them in the back. So instead of moving guys back and forth all the time, we just try to leave. Actually, a lot of people like it back there. How are they doing that with y'all if you want to talk to somebody back there? And they're closer to y'all's pictures that we have back there. You know, so they really know who everybody is.
Great.
That matters.
Huh?
I'm sure that matters.
Those are some old pictures, a couple of them.
You talk about, you know, if you bring a veteran pitcher, does your gut say that?
I said if.
But does your gut say that you're going to bring a veteran pitcher to camp?
I'm not going to handicap that. I want these guys to, this is our most important thing right now is the people here and trying to find the answers we're looking for from here. If someone, you know, walks through the door and the front office and ownership thinks that's a good fit for us, then we'll move with it. I'm not, you know, never wanted to covet other people's players or other people that aren't currently here. I really covet the people we have here now.
And you were asking about Hunter Harvey before, but nice just to see him on a regular mound and just being full go.
Yeah. Real nice.
No
I asked him if he was on the wrong mound, if he wanted to go down. Well, aren't you supposed to be on that half mound? He goes, no, I've done enough duty down there. I said, I ain't never going back to that thing.
Are there any guys that are slowed in camp that you didn't know about?
You mean physically?
Like, will Garner be on a normal?
Yeah, he's a full go. And I had some crossing bridges with that. I don't know if y'all talked to him yet. He's a real personal guy. He's sharp. I don't think so. Anybody, Jim, that, Zach, obviously. No, that's unusual. So far, so good.
Is everyone here who you expected to be here right now?
A couple here that I didn't expect to be here. No, that I think, yeah, better stay away from that. We got some guys working out in other places. I know that I got a heads up that Vielma may not be on time. Is that correct pronunciation? Vielma? I think he's having some, what kind of problems? Visa problems. Tell you what, it's a little more understanding when it's Venezuela. They got some real issues going on down there. Lost a couple of flags. Lost Cuba.
You've had so many spring trainings. Does the first day carry any special significance, or is it just?
Yeah, it does. It always does. I think really more it's kind of two different. One with pitchers and catchers, a little different. You know, you don't get the. You know, we met in here 10:30. By the time we got through the physicals, you know, we were a little later than we'd like to be, getting on the field at 11. But you know, I'm obviously not going to give the full approach, so to speak. But yeah, the pitchers and catchers, it's always first time you get out there. And it's like I tell the players, I don't care how much you do in the off season, as a coach, as a player, or whatever. It's just something about getting on the field the first time you feel like you haven't done anything, whether it's having spikes on, whether it's the humidity or whatever it is. And a lot of guys, you come in off the field and you go, God, I feel like I didn't do a single thing the whole off season. It's just two different shapes. There's that in the weight room, in the running on a track or a treadmill, and then out there on the dirt and grass is different. I tell you, field 4 though, what a difference. You know what's funny is they didn't raise that field. They sunk it. That was fascinating to me. If you look in center field, the windscreen's about this high. There's an opening at the bottom. That's how far they had to sink it to make it. So they scraped dirt off of it. I'm not real sure why it's taken us 5 months to get a hitter's eye up. So I guess the county had some issues there. Must have figured out there was a pond back there.
Did you supervise them extending the net behind home plate?
No.
Make sure.
I think it's a great idea.
Yeah.
It makes you wonder why the cable's going to run from these poles down the right and left field corner. Didn't have any trouble getting those poles up. But it's been a little bit of a challenge not being able to hit on field 4. But we were able to get the nets up there too.
You talked about Zach. I mean, you know, there was a notion that the last year he tried to come back a little too early from those injuries. I mean, even early on, like in spring training, do you keep a close eye on? You know, he's obviously still has a long way to go here, but do you keep a close eye on him in terms of talking to him and
oh yeah, Zach.
Engaged?
And Zach's an open book. You're going to know what's on his mind. It's going to be. I love the fact that I think talking to him, he's going to kind of throw himself into making some other people's path a little easier. And I was walking out this morning to start, and he was walking there. I said, "Hey, come on, he's going to be around. He'll impact our club without pitching some." But has he mentioned a word of month other than? I bet has he mentioned that M word? Yeah. Shocker. I'd never tell him a secret.
The new bunting field, watching the guys, bunting over there, does the fact that the field's there tell us that bunting will be one of the points of emphasis this spring?
Not necessarily. It started out, Peter, as we got too many players, and like I was telling them before you came in, that I don't want the guys who are waiting to throw in Group 6 to wait around for 50 minutes and go in the clubhouse and stand around the heat and whatever. I want them to do something productive. It's something that I've had in Arizona, Texas. So it's very useful, especially when the position players, I think, will use it more. It's kind of a, we want to be in the rotation there, but it's also a work area where I know a lot of our regular players will be using. We got some things we want to do with it. We want to wait, making sure that's the place we want it. So many things that go in. The sun, where's it set? Can you see? Does it disrupt the right field work that's being done over there on field one, but no, I don't think there's an added emphasis, but I think the ability to get better at it is going to be more easy for our guys if they're willing to put in the work. But I was telling them, every year we've done that, we've found something out we didn't know about a pitcher, too. I mean, Carl Story came over and said, hey, I don't know, this guy here, my gosh, he looks like he could do this in his sleep. Just another picture, part of the picture you paint when you're trying to learn about guys.
Watching Cortez. Watching him.
So
throw.
pronounce it like it's a Z, and you feel confident with that. If I said,
It's Cortez.
perfect, good. Now I know who to ask.
Watching him throw, that kind of reinforced what you'd seen before, why you're kind of intrigued by him.
We saw him in the mini camp, and very similar. He's a confident guy when it comes to anything athletically. You can tell he's going to bounce off the mound. He's going to hold runners. He's going to fill his position. He's going to throw the ball over the plate. Those are some good things to bring. Now he's got to get some people out. But all three of the Rule 5 guys were impressive today. Mesa, I think the more we've looked at it, the more we're going to look at him as a starter. That was one of the guys, what is the guy that we added to the mix. Right now there's about 8 of them.
Eight of them in addition to Bundy and Gosman?
Counting them.
What stood out about him that?
Just if you look at him statistically, and talking to Dan, I was up talking to Dan yesterday, and Roger and I were looking at that, and Dan actually said he was going to say something about it at some point, so it was pretty easy to make the adjustment. One of the problems that is sometimes because you know who his father was and you don't know him, you automatically think he's a relief pitcher. You look at his numbers in Double-A as a starter, and really, and I think it's a lot because the Yankees just have so many quality pitching prospects that they had to put him in the bullpen, I guess. But his starting numbers are really worth looking at, and we're going to do that.
One of the things I think one of us asked Zach was, and this question is probably going to be asked throughout the season, is whether he wants to stay here beyond next year. And what his answer was I don't even have that opportunity now to think about that because there haven't been any kind of discussions to that. I mean, knowing how many players that you do have in important
Well, I'm sure you could ask that question and get the same answer from a number of guys.
Right, but I mean, do you have to be, as a manager, do you have to, right, sure, but as a manager, do you have to be conscientious of that with your players that,
I think each guy treats it differently. How Manny handles it, how Adam handles it, how Zach handles it. Who else we got in that boat? Trumbo. No, he's got 2 years. Brock.
Yeah.
He's a free agent in the year, right?
Yeah.
I think there was somebody else.
a couple more people.
Huh?
A couple more,
There is? Who?
well, not players.
Oh, that doesn't matter. Trust me. I know it doesn't matter. Trust me.
Look, so for the pitching, it would be Bundy, Gosman.
Well, you want me to rattle off the 8? And there could be additions. And we just got so many games. Okay, let's see if we can do it together.
Bundy, Gosman, right.
I did it up here. Castro, yeah.
Right.
Okay.
Guys.
You just want me right.
Yeah.
I'm not going there. Yeah, the S is there. See the S's?
Yeah, okay. So Bundy, Castro, Cortez.
And then just add,
Harvey.
add,
Wright, and Mesa.
now I wouldn't say Harvey's being considered. Did y'all get that? Well, share it with the class. Huh? I don't care. So which is good, right? I mean, we don't have any other pertinent information up there, do we? Ooh, yeah, we do. Here,
Chris Tillman.
Is everyone, why is Kristen not gonna name that?
got one somewhere. No, but Harvey's just said he's going to be starting, not relieving, just physically,
Buck,
I know that's no big news. Y'all probably thought that anyway.
there was something on Caleb. Caleb's been here 4 years, parts of 4 years, and yet he's the veteran catcher here. And you have a situation where you have 35 pitchers, you might have 38 next week, who knows? And the younger guys below him, he was talking about, that it's interesting to be in a position where they're asking him questions so soon after he was asking other people, who was turning to other people. How do you,
Mhm.
tell your impressions of his personality and how he could be, still be valuable as that kind of a guy? When
Oh, he will be. He was. You know, Caleb's, there's nothing beneath him. He's not ever gonna forget how fleeting this all can be. But at the same time, he's got enough confidence that he doesn't mind making somebody's path a little easier. But he's been there and been in that position, you know, fighting and clawing for every at bat, every game, and every big league camp. So I think getting comfortable is not in his, you know, vocabulary. He's just, and I think that's one of the things that he'll get across to them. You know, this game can be real kind, it can be real cutting sometimes if you're not true to it. And I'd feel real comfortable, and do feel real comfortable with him imparting the right things being said to people, because he's been there.
Does he have more to offer than 4 years?
Oh, yeah.
Major league experience?
Well, you think about some of the people that told him he wasn't going to be able to do this, and, you know, but he never assumes that he's turned the corner, and he's always thinking, but he doesn't look at whether it's Chance or Austin or Susak, any of those guys. He doesn't look at them as a threat to him and his, you know, I think he's confident if he takes care of business and he knows what it takes to play here and be a contributor. If he does that, then it only makes our team better. But he doesn't, you know, he's been Austin Wins, okay? A little later on, not 22, but all of a sudden kind of emerges on the scene for a lot of different reasons. I mean, I was thinking about that yesterday, that he's got a lot in common with Austin.
Well, if you look at the pitch clock, and obviously now they said it's going to be different things and less visits to the mound and shorter commercial breaks.
Maybe. What, did they come out with something today?
No, just from like last week or 2 weeks ago, I guess, talking about it. Do you like that idea? I know you were involved in it, like making the game shorter, or people
I was
like
just,
Darrow Day-
pardon?
People like Darrow Day were saying how it could ruin the game, and he's a little bit slower. And even if it happens next year or the following year, what are your thoughts on that?
Well, I think because I'm on the competition committee and I know probably a lot more than the people that are talking about things they really don't know about and what's really going on, I got to be careful and betraying a trust. I know I've looked at both sides of it, and I understand what everybody's trying to accomplish. It's kind of like you know, instant replay in football. Can you imagine watching a football game without it now? Imagine baseball without replay after getting it. And I think they said like 97% of the pitchers in the last 2 years the pitch clock would not have affected. You know, it's really the hitters are going to have to make the adjustment for the most part. So I understand that some of the alarm anytime there's changes, and me too. You kind of go, wait a minute, what's this about? And there's a lot of false narrative on it from people who really just don't know what's going on out there compared to, you know, I know the commissioner and the MLB office is trying to do everything to make sure the union's okay with it. Actually, they went a whole year, you know, without doing anything, and this year they can if they want to. I know they want to stay away from that, but I don't think it's going to be near the huge adjustment that people, it's kind of like everybody wants to install this fear about it instead of what's reality. So I feel confident that from what I've heard that there's going to be some changes. But I think most people will be surprised how little really drastic change it is other than potentially the time of games. And, you know, some of the people that are weighing in on it, their contracts and their salaries, all of us are directly related to getting a game under 3 hours. So you might want to, you know, if you want to take a pay cut to keep the games longer.
If it were true that it only affected 2-point-something% of the pitchers, why not?
For the hitters.
Okay.
I think that's one thing. It's just players play slower, and I'm not saying that's a bad thing. It's just, you know, that's the biggest change is how much slower players play, and it's not really their fault. It's kind of the way that the game's drawn out drama-wise. You look at the postseason, but you know, there's been exhaustive surveys, looks at it. I mean, I know all the stuff that's going on. It's not just something they're pulling out of the air. And some of the reasons for it are really good reasons. We'll see. I think it'll end up not being near as drastic as people are trying to paint a picture. It's kind of like replay. It wasn't near as that big a deal. They had, I know the visits to the mound, they've talked about the possibility of like quarterbacks with the helmet. And the problem is communicating with the pitcher directly. But there's ways around it. They've been looking at it for a couple of years. It's not something they're just pulling out. I think the more you're involved in those discussions, you realize how in-depth this has been looked at for a long time, trying to figure out a palatable way to make everybody happy, but most importantly, the fans. I mean, some of the stuff that's out there about it is just wrong.
You said only one split squad game?
We don't have time. We only got 4 practices because of the schedule. I'd really like to sit down with whoever did the schedule and say, how do you expect to get position players ready to play in games in 4 days? And we won't. We won't be able to. So that's why that club over in Twin Lakes is up and running. Those guys will be ready. The pitching will be ready. The position players, it's going to be tough. It's not a very well thought out spring schedule for a development standpoint.
Would that split squad be the day before your opener? Or
You mean inter squad? Yeah.
Yes.
The 22nd, does that sound right? And the next day will kind of be a split squad too. Second day of spring on the 25th, we're supposed to have 36 position players ready to play. 38, 40, counting catchers, 3 catchers, after 3.5 days of practice. I mean, I'd like to be on that committee. I'm sure it was done by people that haven't ever tried to get a team ready to play. I just feel bad for the people that are buying tickets on the 23rd and 24th. Even though we'll try to do as well as we can, I really don't want to see any send-outs about a representative team. What is a representative team? Is it in my eyes or yours? I think it's in the fans' eyes, isn't it? I'm not getting so much trouble first day. I'm not going to be on the committee anymore, I can tell you that. We should have liar, liar day about the basic game and stuff. I chuckle at some of the stuff people are writing. It's so wrong.